So your kits have come with a variety of lead pencils for you. They range in hardness to softness. So H is harder lead, creates a much thinner, sort of precise line, great for drafting or architectural renderings. The softer leads are going to be your B leads. HB is pretty much the middle of the spectrum. And then onto the softer leads, B actually stands for blackness. So you can get a much richer black with that softer lead. Now in between, you've got, this is a 6B. You've got much heavier, softer, darker line, darker value. You've got 4B that is, you can see how much lighter that is. It's still softer lead, that's a 2B. And you've also got the middle of the spectrum, that HB, both hard lead and soft lead or blackness. Now, once you get into the harder leads, the ones that say H at the top, you've got a much finer line, more precision. I tend to not draw with those because you get overly conscious of precision, but they are really lovely if you're interested in doing very fine detailed work like the sort of architectural renderings that we just talked about. Just going to talk a little bit about charcoal pencils. They're not required, but they are pretty awesome to work with. They give you a very rich black, and they feel like a pencil. So they're a little bit neater and cleaner, but it's up to you if you'd like to get them. They come in different softnesses, just like the lead pencils, 6B, 4B, 2B, HB. So in your kit you will have various charcoals and chalk. Vine and willow charcoals are created by burning willow or vine grapevine sticks at very high temperatures in kilns. And what I love about vine willow charcoal is the ease at which you can sort of map out a drawing very early on. It's very forgiving. You can wipe it back. You could maybe even sneeze and some of it will sort of go away. But you can use this in terms of charcoal drawing to sort of create your preliminary sketch. Now it does not produce a very rich black, which is why you would be, able to move on to incorporate some of your other charcoals. So compressed charcoal, which I'm opening right now. It's so fun to open materials, isn't it? Compressed charcoal is much richer, and you'll see what I mean. If you sort of play around on your own, you can get beautiful, rich, dark values and tones with your compressed charcoal. Compared to the vine, it's really, it's much darker. You can build it up, you can really press hard down on it, and you can blend it, and it really creates a much more rich dark value. Now, it is more difficult to erase compared to the vine charcoal, but it is really beautiful. You can overlay it, you can sort of use it as, you could use the edge of it as a sort of calligraphic line. You can also use the fat edge of it to create these larger swaths of value in beautiful sort of overlapping ways. And you can build that up and build that up and build that up to create a very rich dark tone or value. Now, moving on, you've got also pastels, black pastels or chalk pastels in your kits. These are really lovely, kind of similar to the compressed charcoal, but they are softer than the compressed charcoal. They're kind of in between the vine charcoal and your compressed charcoal. But what's really wonderful, right? What's really wonderful about the charcoal pastel or black pastel is you can get these large, really big areas of value covered very quickly. It's much quicker to draw with. Now it is messy. So we should move on to erasers. You got a bunch of different erasers in your kits. They all kind of do different things. First, we'll talk about the kneaded eraser, and it's gooey. It kind of feels like bubblegum, but it's not as sticky, of course. It's not going to be under your desk or whatever. Now, it's great for blending. It's instead of using your fingers and getting all messy with your fingers and getting fingerprints all over everything, you can just use your kneaded eraser. And what's really beautiful about the kneaded eraser, even though it doesn't erase things completely, right? It's beautiful at blending. You can stretch it out. So you just pull it out, stretch it out. And what's great about that is it just cleans it. I've had these things for decades, and I just keep stretching them out, and it's kind of amazing. The charcoal goes away. So you can also shape it if you want to create different shapes in terms of erasing or blending in your drawing, pulling value into another area. It's wonderful. So the gum eraser, this is a gum eraser. They come in a lot of different sizes, but they're generally sort of tannish brown in color. They actually do a little bit more in terms of erasing out. You can pull up value, you can pull up the medium a little bit better with these, and they also create a beautiful kind of mark if you're interested in doing some subtractive value. You can blend a little bit better, and it's just really kind of a middle ground, kind of like the pencil with the HB being in the middle of the spectrum. Now on the other side of the spectrum, you've got your white plastic eraser. You probably have a different kind than I've got here, but I want to talk a little bit about what it can do. Obviously, it erases out way, way better than any of the others. You can pull out value so much more. You can really get rid of stuff. If you use the fatter, sort of wider edge, you can really blend beautifully. You can make these beautiful marks with your white plastic eraser. And then there is also the retractable eraser that is basically like the white plastic eraser, but it's smaller. It has a finer point and a finer edge. You can get beautiful sort of more specific, more concentrated, more sort of detailed, erased out shapes with this. You could think of it as like a charcoal pencil or even Conti, but in the reverse. So you're erasing things out and you're using it as a drawing tool. Obviously it's retractable, so really it lasts a very long time. It's a great tool. So last but not least, we're going to talk about ink. You should have Black India ink in your kits. It's a great tool. You're also going to have watercolor paper. That holds water-soluble media so much better. No rippling in the paper, no pilling. It's great. You're also probably going to want to get some carry-out containers or Tupperware for your palette, or you can always buy a palette, but it's great to just reuse stuff that you're going to throw away. So let's talk a little bit also about brushes. This is an acrylic brush, but it can be also used for watercolor, this one. It's a round. This is called a round brush. This is a flat brush. That's a flat bristle. You should have two different brushes in your kits that are both rounds, and one is smaller, one is larger, and really they should probably do most of the heavy lifting for you. You don't need any more brushes than that for this semester. Always want a water jar close by, and obviously put your palette and your water jar away from your paper. Ink is amazing. Ink is so much fun. It's like, the bridge between drawing and painting. You can do so much with ink. You can allow for a sort of feathered edge or a rough edge. You can go wet into wet. You can blend. Ink or any water-soluble media is going to do what it naturally just wants to do. You can force it and you can sort of control it a little bit, but that's the beauty of this medium, is that it's going to sort of run or travel into other areas. It's not going to be your neat and tidy sort of medium. But what it does, it does really kind of tend to loosen you up. It creates a variety, a very large range of values and tones. And again, you can get all kinds of really amazing effects with ink as a medium. Some of my students actually wind up working with ink for the duration of the semester for projects that are a little bit more open in terms of the media. You should also have painter's tape in your kits. Painter's tape is great for masking off areas, whether they're specific or you're sort of framing out your drawing. Okay, you can actually extend that tape and create a whole framed out area for your drawing. It's not just used for ink, you can also use it for other media like charcoal or pastel or pencil. But what you're going to find with your painter's tape is that it's going to give you a really beautiful, sort of clean, sharp edge that you can butt your medium up against, like this ink that I'm doing here. And as it dries, you can pull that off, and I'll just show you real quick. Let it dry a little bit. You're going to want it to dry a little bit. As you pull that tape, it'll reveal a beautiful edge. And as you pull that tape, you're going to want to pull that nice and low, like almost parallel to the paper. But you're also going to want to create that like sort of 90-degree angle of the tape edge to your drawing edge. Beautiful. Look at that. All right, so hopefully this helped you a little bit. Figure out some of your materials. Now go have some fun.